And now, please help welcome SCTE's President and CEO, Mark Dzuban.
Thank you and good morning. I want to thank everybody, and especially bearing through the snow. We have a couple of folks that have taken a couple of hours to come in this morning, so there would have been quite a large number of folks that I believe are sitting on 25 or 70. Did want to interject, and by the way, I see a picture of my favorite vehicle. Come from a legend of a family who rebuilt World War II Jeeps just to get to work and get to school. So we still participate. I just came from an international breakfast. SCTE should be very, very proud, and that full house. We have over 1,100 international members. We certainly had our contingent of Canadian friends. Great turnout by the Canadian friends. Hungary, representatives from China, Europe, South America. It was a great turnout, and very, very grateful for the support. So the things we do at SCTE is appreciated globally. For folks that don't know me, I'm Mark Dzuban. Been in cable for a while. I go back to now, especially. In the 1950s, I sat down in the basement with my father, and he was a bit of a character, and he was building an amplifier, and it was for the early distribution systems. Open line, I believe, was 300 ohm distribution. He'd say to me, as I'm going through this box of resistors, I need a red, orange, 22K. Remember that. And I was probably still in the single digits, probably was 8, 9 years old at the time. But it was the beginning of building and appreciating the community antenna systems at the time that were the genesis of where we are today. So I was fortunate in 1968, I joined Vicoa, and Vicoa is an early manufacturer of cable products, and had a call very frequently from folks that are saying, hey, I just mounted a strand on a tree temporarily, and I've got this problem, and I need this particular amplifier. And I became engaged and was an RF engineer, design engineer, and had the privilege of really enjoying the days of exploring the technology and how it can apply to solving problems. And I believe some of the hardware I worked on in 1968 is in the museum that you'll see up in the expo today. And that's amazing because I only feel like I'm 29, and that was 40 years ago. Since then, though, many of you know me from Cross Country Cable. I ran the engineering department there, and Cross Country Cable International, which was in Europe and Puerto Rico. And then joined Bell Labs as a member of the technical staff as a cable guy. So can imagine a cable guy walking the halls of AT&T. And it was a great experience. Some folks thought that I was creating a competitive solution. I was actually building an architecture and solution for AT&T to reconstitute itself using cable networks and investing a huge amount of money into the science and technology of which we see today, and it's leveraged, and that's where I launched voice and a number of other applications at a point in time when folks said, why are we doing this? And today it's a billion-dollar business. So the 40 years has taken me to a point of where I'm saying, wow, little did I know where this would end when I was sorting through resistors in the 50s. First day on the job. First day on the job was the day I started, February 2nd, at the Canadian Summit. It's good to see the industry acquaintances, but more than that, to see how the Canadian market really embraced the event. And Dermot, a number of others, which really founders of some of those activities. This morning I was with Kojiko and others. Very grateful for the Canadian contingent to be able to continue in the spirit of SCTE and what we can bring to the community. Also, since the inaugural summit proved to have value, we're planning on even a bigger event, 2010. I believe we had a relatively large number of vendors who could not participate due to just inadequate floor space and other space. If you're part of the Canadian market, be sure to put in your calendar, pencil it in, March 9th and 10th, 2010 on your calendars. 2010 Summit will have a more expansive exhibit area, even more technical sessions, and a few other new elements. And as we continue to learn, and since I came on February 2nd, I'm taking a hard look at everything we do. having been involved with the society for a long time, understanding fundamental engineering. I'm an applied scientist. Pour concrete, build towers, build network, and it's all around revenue-generating platforms. It's all around the business that creates the revenue to pay the paychecks that support our families. So there is a life cycle component to this that's very, very important to us. We're also pleased to have Bruce Marshall of the Mountain Cable Vision as our 2010 SCTE Canadian Summit Program Chair, and very appreciative of Bruce picking up the baton and running with it from the success we had last year. So besides launching the SCTE Canadian Summit through 2009, we've been celebrating SCTE's 40th anniversary. This year we've honored our tremendous 40-year history and have begun to look forward to a very bright future in the society. And the is yet to be. And when we say the best is yet to be, is if you look at the things we're doing today to better advance our contribution to the community and the individual, being able to look at what it takes to continue to, let's call it refurbish and rebuild the fundamentals of engineering. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. And also build a curriculum and a career path, so not only do we build value for the industry, but we build value for the individual in a career path. So stay tuned. There's a lot more to come, and the best is yet to be. So a little bit of comment from Winston Churchill. Like I said earlier, most of my career has been change. And with that, my father was a World War II veteran. He was in North Africa with the British, and spent a lot of time telling me World War II stories. Actually, he's in some of the World at War series, sitting in the back of a half-track with his machine gun in North Africa chasing after Rommel. And it was a part of time that, especially being born shortly after World War II, the impact of quotes and statements that people made. And Winston Churchill was always appreciated. To improve is to change. To be perfect is to change often. So what you're going to see is a constant probing of those things that can be of value, and not be so conservative that we let those kinds of things that may not be obvious pass. So you'll see this year we've got a green pavilion. We're calling it the Spotlight. And every year, maybe this is something we renew. It could be wireless, could be IP networking. There's a number of areas of technology that can be of great value to us. Winston Churchill is one of those folks I look up to. The next picture is, okay, you can critique me for my long hair. I actually had a haircut prior to that picture. And it was a part of time where when I went back to Vicoa in 1968, I was a low guy on the totem pole. I was into ham radio. Everything I did was around radio and RF. And actually that's something we're going to look at the renaissance of. But this was a very, very important point in time. This was enabling the two-way path in our networks to change the face of the industry. When I was working on the 5 to 30 megahertz, people were going, well, okay, I can use it for my studio returns or this and that. And I said, it's far more. I believe some of the franchises that we worked on was not just to enable cable television, it was to enable in the future the great value of communication services to come. So you see me there with an analyzer and one of the folks who's passed, which is P.J. Otten. P.J. Otten was, again, someone whose heart and soul is in cable. We 24/7 talked about the solutions, how we manage ingress, how we addressed the kinds of issues you saw in lasers and return paths, the kinds of issues that today we see Mr. 905, the contributor to noise and ingress, and all those kinds of things that became a contributor to the best practices and ended up actually being the work that was done a contributor to AT&T's view of how to enter cable as the solution to recreate the brand. And although we may have different views of the AT&T participation, the science and technology, which being a member of the technical staff for me was an honor, and using the leverage of experience in a return path as an enabler for two-way communication services created huge investment opportunities that I took advantage of. A lot of that work you see today in our industry.